Gulpin. It's an unfortunately forgettable Pokemon that too few know about, and thus even fewer know what it's supposed to be based on. The earlier generations of Pokemon did have some more generic, monstrous Pokemon designs rather than being based on something specific, and genericization is definitely a factor here, but no matter how obscure, they always have their inspirations, lore, and origins. So what are Swalot and Gulpin? I've seen plenty of answers thrown around, but I don't think any of them land perfectly. That is, until now. I've always loved Gulpin, to be honest, when I happen to think about it, that is. Which is very rarely. Honestly, most of my experience with this Pokemon is in Super Smash Bros, where it, get out! Get out! It's a fetish. Gosh dang furries! But seriously though, Gulpin is just a cute little guy. Look at him. He's a little... slug? And then it evolves into Swalot and he's just purple and tall now. But he's got a mustache. What are those? Feet? Well, most Pokemon are based on animals, so let's start uncovering what these Pokemon are there. When I think about animals that have huge mouths to swallow things whole like this, I go fish first, which given that these Pokemon almost lack limbs and some fish have big whiskers, that would be kinda fitting. But as far as land-based animals that commonly do this go, you got cormorants. Oh wow. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, stop. You're going to hurt yourself, stop. No! And perhaps most famously, snakes. Snakes are even said to unhinge their jaws to fit big food in there, but that's actually untrue. Their mouths are that big and mobile within their heads because the two lower halves of their jaw are connected by what is essentially elastic, like a rubber band. On top of this, their upper jaw isn't rigidly connected to the bottom, so they can pivot it quite a lot. You can actually see some of that in action sometimes when a snake yawns. It's so cute. But yeah, sometimes they swallow food that's actually more massive than they are, and their stomachs stretch out to accommodate that. It looks a bit hilarious, honestly, and from eggs twice the size of their heads to entire goats, there is little a snake can't swallow. And plus, many snakes are venomous, fitting of Gulpin's poison typing, but Gulpin is not long, and when it evolves, it's tall. And while many snakes have a diamond pattern like the one around Swalot, I think it's safe to say there is nothing really snake-like about these Pokemon other than their swallowing ability. Speaking of, I've heard so many inappropriate nicknames for Swalot over the years. Tell me what you named yours in the comments. Actually, wait, no, don't do that. You'll get this video demonetized. This video is sponsored by Zenmarket. Yeah! You like Japanese things, and Japanese things like you too, but getting Japanese things to you is often difficult. A lot of Japanese stores don't want to deal with international shipping, so unless you physically go there to get your limited edition waifu figurine or this really cool Knackley salt shaker, there's no real way to get it, except there is. It's Zenmarket. Through Zenmarket's website, you can browse over 10,000 Japan-only online stores and buy anything you want. Those Japanese stores ship their goods to Zenmarket's Japanese warehouse, and once they get all your stuff, they ship it internationally to you.
No more region-locked goods, even temporarily!
And now more than ever is a great time to check them out because they have a loyalty program for all shoppers. So the more you shop, the more you'll level up, and the more you'll save with up to 1% cash back in Zen points. And shopping credits you can use without having to add funds first. You can sign up today at the link in the description and use the promo code Lockstin to get 1,000 Zen points free, the equivalent of 1,000 yen off coupon. Check them out at the link below as thanks for helping us go and make videos like this one about Gulpin. So the most common answer I see to the question, what are Gulpin and Swalot supposed to be, is that they are not based on animals, but rather parts of animals. They are stomachs. Gulpin is the stomach Pokemon in the Pokédex after all, and while Swalot is the poison bag Pokemon, the original Japanese can also translate simply to stomach, or even dietary needs. Oh yes, the dietary needs Pokemon, haha. Brilliant concept. Plus, most acid-based Pokemon moves are poison-type, so a stomach full of digestive stomach acid would be a poison-type too then, would it not? A stomach then is, in fact, a poison bag. That said though, just a stomach doesn't cover them entirely at all. Gulpin's own dex entries state that almost all its body is a stomach. It has a small heart and a brain. Its stomach comprises most of its body, with enzymes to dissolve anything. There is nothing its stomach can't digest. But could it digest another Gulpin stomach? But of course a Pokemon has to be a living thing. It can't just be some guts laying on the floor. That's icky! Though that could very well have been the initial inspiration. Honestly, I'd love to see a whole group of Pokemon based on the various organs. Could be fun. Another related idea I've seen thrown around is that Gulpin is more so inspired by the gallbladder, while Swalot is the whole stomach. After all, gallbladders are much smaller, right next to the stomach, are used in the digestion process, and more importantly, are green and shaped kinda the same. They're also nestled just beside the liver, which is a deep red to purple color and is comparatively much larger. Honestly, I'd argue that if they are based on any organs visually rather than abilityally, the gallbladder and liver are the most fitting. Both are directly involved in the digestion process too. Contrary to popular belief, the stomach doesn't digest all your food, at least not fully. To simplify it, the stomach's primary job is to digest protein. And some vitamins here and there. But before this step, your mouth and esophagus actually begin the whole digestion process already. Chewing is a part of it, and the enzymes in saliva specifically break down starches while it's in your esophagus, and it continues to do so once it's past the stomach. It's mainly after the stomach that the body digests most of the carbohydrates and a few of the remaining proteins that weren't previously digested. But also, just about all of the fat. This is part of why high-fat, low-carb diets like keto work great for people who say they are hungry all the time. In an overweight person, hunger is more so a hormonal imbalance than it is a physical need, and having more fat and even dietary fiber in the stomach can help slow or even stop the triggering of the hunger hormones. When I did keto for a few years, I swear hunger became a foreign concept to me. I could actually fast for days, not even think about food. Only do so with educated supplementation though, of course. But back to these gut guys. Fat is digested in the intestine with bile, which is created by the liver and then stored in the gallbladder. When the small intestine detects the presence of fat, the gallbladder sends bile through the pancreas to pick up some extra enzymes along the way, and then it enters the intestine, where fat and most carbohydrates are digested with the help of fermentation and our helpful gut bacteria as well. I could definitely see an alternate Gulpin evolution that's based on the pancreas and yellow. And the pancreas being yellow might explain Gulpin's little head feather flap thing. It could be based on the tube that goes from the gallbladder to the inner pancreas, and thus Swalot's yellow mustaches are based on the same tube, but how it comes from the liver in two directions and then connects to the gallbladder. It's a theory, though I think the mustache just works better as a small food-loving chef's mustache, though there's nothing saying it can't be both. But, or gut, actually, the gallbladder and liver work with the poison type without having to lean into the acid technicality as well. The liver has like 1,000 jobs, but the biggest is filtering and detoxifying the blood. And like, look at a pool filter. Would you eat that? Please don't answer. Because of its function as a filter, they're often full of the icky stuff, and thus there are many animals' livers you can't eat without poisoning yourself. An extreme example is the liver of the polar bear. You could cut it into 52 pieces, serve it to 52 people, and every single one of them would cease to live. Bile straight from the gallbladder is poisonous too. While small amounts of animal bile is used in Eastern medicine, it's easy to overdose and become poisoned. Some even say that crocodile bile is so toxic it would only take enough to cover your pinky nail to poison several dozen people. To death, bro. To death. That's not true, though. It's an Eastern wives' tale, but you know, Vikings didn't have horns either, yet here's Berserker. Wait. Yet here's Berserker. In older medical science, though, the theory of humors was used to treat all kinds of illnesses, most often unhelpfully, but a big part of the theory of humors was that things from illnesses to your very cravings to your very personality are due to a balance of the four humors, or the spiritual embodiment of physical bodily fluids, two of which were different kinds of bile. If you are gut crampy, fevery, vomited a lot, which are all common food poisoning symptoms, it was because you had too much yellow bile in your gallbladder. It's poisonous in high amounts, you know. And hey, here's a fun, well, not so fun fact. So gallbladders are small and green when healthy. But if they get blocked up by gallstones or worse, experience torsion, they swell up greatly and turn purple. Maybe Swalot is a gallbladder too then, just an enlarged one. After all, while livers can be purpley, they more often are just a deep wine pink color. Darker than most of our organs, but still pink, mostly due to the presence of red blood. But wait, aren't there animals with different blood colors, and would thus have different colored guts? Yeah. And often the thing that makes their blood a different color is toxic to us. Take the aptly named green-blooded skink. Can you guess what color its blood is? It's truly green 7 times over, inside and out. Its blood is green because of the high presence of biliverdin throughout it. Humans have biliverdin in very small amounts too. It's in our bile, in the gallbladder, so hey, we've come full circle. But the amount in this skink's blood and tissues is deadly to humans, highly toxic, so if you see one, don't eat it, no matter how much mustard you put on it. Plus, IDK, skinks are kinda like snakes with similar diets and kinda stretchy jaw parts and doing all that. There could be something there, but now how about purple for Swalot? It turns out purple blood is unique to peanut worms and one other family of animals. Tourniquets, which, oh my gosh, it's a giant mouth with a giant stomach! Tourniquets are these gooey, brightly colored, upright standing, poisonous invertebrates with basically no limbs that live on undersea rocks and do nothing but eat all day. And some of them look like they've got beady eyes with their huge mouths. Their expandable stomachs are their second largest organs, their first being the pharyngeal basket, which is a fancy word for the inside of their mouths and throats that filters their food. So this is actually the first part of their digestive tract. So yes, they are almost entirely digestive tract. They are a stomach with a huge mouth. Notably, Gulpin has Pokédex entries that mentions that its heart and brain are very small in comparison to its stomach. And a notable fact about tourniquets is that when they are born, they not only have brains and hearts, but can also swim around freely. But when they eventually find the place they'll call home for the rest of their lives, they then eat their own heart and brain in order to get the nutrients to permanently latch onto the rock and further develop their huge stomach. That is a lot of dedication to food. But what is their food? Most tourniquets are filter feeders, meaning they just suck up water, gulp it down with their huge mouths, filter the plankton and such out of it, and then push the now filtered water back out. But there is one tourniquet, known as the predatory tourniquet. Oh gosh, its mouth is even bigger. It's like if a piranha plant lived in the deep ocean. That is an evil sock puppet, if I've ever seen one. Blah 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 blah. What a lovely day! It's blah 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 blah. Lovely day, a lovely lovely day. And likewise, they eat whatever happens to go near their mouth. Not just plankton, but whole fish too. All in one big swallow. Yeah, they swallow a lot. Swalot. And plus, while the earlier Pokemon generations didn't care as much about the Pokemon fitting the region that they're based in, these tourniquets do live in the Pacific Ocean just offshore of real-world Hoenn. Bonus fact! These creatures are super ancient and were one of the first creatures to have a primordial version of a spinal cord. So upright. Neat! And honestly, I'm pretty sure that if not just Digestive Guts the Pokemon, then tunicates but land-based and cute is what they are based on. Mystery solved? Maybe? There's no real way of knowing unless we ask the designers and then they tell us specifically, but they're not gonna do that. Though it is worth mentioning a yokai I have seen mentioned in the context of Swalot, the Nupeppo. While the original material states that it is a soft, white, wrinkly sweet potato made of flesh, more recent interpretations make it a purple flesh blob. Though by recent, I mostly mean like almost Nio 2 recent. Way after this Pokemon was introduced, so I think this is a cart before the horse situation. So sticking with the original idea of the yokai only, it doesn't super fit, honestly. While a blob, it's more so known for being stinky and disgusting itself rather than for eating and swallowing, though it is stated that it sucks just the fat out of dead bodies in cemeteries. Just the fat, eh? Like what the bile from the liver and gallbladder help with. Well, then there's the locomotion issue with these two. Gulpin barely moves, but when it does, it's sort of just like a small segment of a slug. But then Swalot moves around like Blue from Foster's Home, or like the Gray People from Fairly Odd Parents, or like, I guess, a Wobbuffet, but less. So this is a body plan trope of sorts, walking around on like blobs, like some kind of amoeba. You know, these single-celled organisms use their entire self as a stomach when they absorb something, and the short little appendages they reach out are actually just a part of their whole body. They're creating pseudopods, false feet. They function as feet, but they are actually just an extension of their whole self, practically walking with their stomach because they are a stomach, because they are a single cell, and that cell digests things. Their death could be something there. Same with the diamonds around Swalot's body. What is with those? I'm honestly leaning on the notion that Game Freak just needed something to break up its design, because aligned diamonds like this, in Japanese fashion, are called Soroban Shibori and are used to evoke an abacus, ancient calculators. Accountants would wear the pattern. And just one lifetime ago, this symbol was a common symbol on calculators, essentially for subtotal, though that's not really helpful for us here at all. In the West, these diamonds are more so associated with things like playing cards and casino-type places of wealth and greed, so gluttons too? Casino buffet? I guess? Notably, it's a card suit because each of the four represented a different class of medieval person. The royals and military, the clergy, the peasants, and the merchants. Merchants themselves often seen as being wealthy and greedy, so again, gluttonous? Maybe? We did get these card suits from France, which is also a big food capital of the world, and along with Italy are where a lot of the old mustached chef tropes come from, so again, maybe? In modern times, both Japan and in the West, this diamond is most often just a traffic symbol, meaning bus or carpool lane, or pedestrians ahead. Not helpful, though I suppose you could fit a couple kids in a Swalot and slowly pass through the carpool lane. And in most ancient art across the globe, this shape is used to symbolize both sown fields and female fertility. So again, not really helpful here. The best I got for these diamonds follows through with the French-Italian chef mustache detail. It's sort of the stereotypical tablecloth design at Italian restaurants, but even then, only barely. But gosh, I could eat a whole pizza right now. I defer to you. Why do you think Swalot has diamonds? And do you think them being based on a land-based tunicate crossed with a gallbladder is possible? Let me know down below, and never stop using your guts to digest food. You need that to live. Just maybe not as much.